Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry that took a few minutes. At the end of last quarter, I came into this room, set everything up, made sure everything was working exactly the way I wanted, but apparently system glitches. I don't know if ITS did something or maybe some other instructor did something. Anyway, it's all working as it should now. It's from my. So, believe those of you who are in my lab classes for Tuesday and Wednesday, we already met. Those of you who are in Monday classes, some of you weren't able to show up for the lab, that's fine. I'm Hiren Trada. I'm your lecturer, professor, instructor for EE 315, both for lectures and labs. I like it when that happens because there is built-in flexibility that I can, that I can pass on to the students. All right, so I'm going to explain my course setup, the in-class learning experience, and then I will open up the syllabus. Okay, so actually, you know, while we're on syllabus, let's go ahead and open this up. All right, that's the web page, the front page of our Canvas site. And on the syllabus, we have the course information, assignment and grading. So let me go to course information because what I'm about to talk about is course information. Okay, so this course is structured with UDL principles. UDL stands for Universal Design for Learning. Simply stated, basically means using a wide range of tools and technology to structure your course in a way to maximize and benefit a wide variety of learning styles. Okay, there's multimodal levels too, meaning the normal syllabus that we do, if you need some remedial stuff, that's also there, practice and tutorials. And then if you want to take a step outside of the syllabus, that will also be there available to you. Obviously, if it's part of the normal syllabus, I'm able to answer questions, devote my time to that. If it's outside of the syllabus, I will definitely still answer the questions, but that's not guaranteed. Okay, so you are all adults. You are in charge of your learning. The course structure is there to maximize benefit to the students. Okay, to that end, let me talk about attendance first of all. Attendance is not mandatory. It's not required. Exact opposite for the lab classes. Most of you, well, some of you might like to attend in person. Some of you like attend online. Some of you might not like to attend classes at all. That is absolutely fine with me. Okay, I do not take attendance from my lecture classes, and the course structure is such that students do not need to be here, right? So what I have here is I have a writing device. I have a writing tablet, and then that is mirrored to these projectors, what you see in class. Anything I write here is automatically available to view here on the projector. Also, I use Microsoft's OneNote, the digital note-taking software. So my slides are already on there. If you have signed up, those are also available to you. So as I go along in the class, I make annotations on the tablet here. You can view those annotations on the projector. And if you're logged on to that OneNote, those annotations are automatically available to you in real time. Okay, the idea being that students do not need to worry about taking detailed notes while I'm speaking, so they can pay attention to they can pay attention to the talk. Obviously, that does not preclude or stop you from taking any notes, right? Because every student is different, every person is different. You might need to take more or less notes than what the instructor is saying. So that's one thing. Second thing is my screen here, which is projected, is also shared on Zoom. So if you have logged onto the front page, right there's a Zoom passcode, okay, right at the top of front page. So the meeting is listed in the left pane. It's a reminder. It's basically the same meeting for all of my lecture classes. So it's just a reminder. You can start it, log on even before class begins, and then I will log on shortly after 105 or 106, depending on how long it might take me for setup. So you can attend class online or in person. The only thing that is available online is basically what you see on here. Okay, no names, no faces, nothing else is recorded. So if you are attending online, none of that is stored. The only thing that is recorded is this shared screen. That's it. No personal information. And then these recordings, I post them to YouTube on a channel. And then those videos are also available to students to view anytime they want. Okay. The channel is not monetized. More student views are not making me any money. Yeah, I just really share it for anyone in the world who might find it useful. Okay. Obviously, students with the link are the only ones who are going to be able to view that. But again, if someone searches for specifically my name and specifically E315, they would come across the link. So far, so good. Okay. All right. Second thing after that, you can walk in and out of the classroom anytime you want. The doors are always open, which that should be open. This one, I'll prop it open right now. So you can walk in and out of the classroom anytime you want. You can eat, and I was about to say drink, but we've been warned from facilities that rooms with carpets are strictly prohibited from having any kind of drinks, even water, because when it spills on the carpet and leaves a big stain on there. Okay. So we've been advised, and obviously you've gone to many different classrooms in the buildings, right? Where you would have seen no food or drink allowed, especially the labs. We cannot take any food or drink in the labs because we have, expensive electronic equipment. And so we don't want liquids and electronics to mix, right? So again, eating as long as it's dry is fine. Like if you have a snack or a sandwich or something, that's fine. But something that's mushy or that's going to leave a stain on a carpet, you know, that's kind of prohibited. So again, if you have water in a hard capped bottle, I think that would be fine. But if you have like a loose lid, like a soft drink cup that you might get from a restaurant or something, then please leave it outside the door. Okay. Like cans, anything that could spill without a hard cap, leave it outside the door. You can walk out in the middle of the lecture if you want to take a sip, you want to take a couple of minutes, stretch your legs. That's absolutely fine with me. It's not going to bother me as long as you're not making any noise, you're not disturbing the students' learning. I don't care. Okay, you can walk out of here, go to the restroom. You can leave early if you want. If you're feeling sleepy, you want to take a nap, go to the back, take a nap. It's not going to bother me, really. So again, attendance is not mandatory. You can attend in person, you can attend online, or you choose not to attend at all. You can just watch the recorded video later, or you can do neither of the, none of those three things, or none of those three options, and simply just study on your own, submit the assignments. That is also fine with me. Again, you are adults. I'm not the police. I'm not the learning police to keep track of each and every student, right? The resources are there in front of you. It's up to you to take charge of your own learning. Okay. So that is class notebook, student learning experience. Now this class is very different from what you've learned so far in 115 and 215. This is about semiconductors and the application of semiconductor devices to larger systems. So we'll begin with, like the atomic structures, electrons, movement of electrons, how we can create a semiconductor material. And from there, how we can create devices using these semiconductor materials. So diodes, transistors, electronic devices, basically, and then circuits and systems using these devices. Okay. So that was course information, communication and office hours. I think most of you know where building 20 is, and most of you also know where room 117 is, right? Is almost diagonally across the SPL, which is room 111. Okay, so I'm very easy to find. I'm here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. Some days I'm here till 5, but I'm guaranteed to be here from 8 to 4. Okay, so my schedule is pretty heavily loaded towards the front end of the week. Student hours, where I'm guaranteed to be in my office, is between 1 and 4 on Tuesday afternoons and 9 and 11 on Friday mornings. These are the times I'm guaranteed to be in the office. If I'm not, I might just have gone down the hallway to a restroom. That's it. Okay. But these are the times I'm guaranteed to be in the office. Outside of the student hours, also, I'm available. Those are the olive green sections that you see. So I will be in the building, I will be on campus, but I might be in a different building, I might be in a different lab, I might be in the department office, meeting with another professor or researcher. So if you have a question, send me an email. If you are in the building, simply knock on my door. If I have a few minutes, I'll happily meet with you and I'll answer your questions. Okay. So again, I'm very available Tuesday afternoons, Friday mornings, and then pretty much all day Thursday. All right. I'm always available via email. Okay? And if these times don't match up, send me an email. I'll be happy to meet on Zoom. Okay. The Zoom is just as we go along. Like it's Friday evening and you have a question and it can be answered via email, we'll meet on Zoom. That is fine with me. Okay. All right. So that's communication and office hours, course information, assignments and grading, attendance, participation, and late work. Again, this is okay. So the course is live and synchronous, right? Always in person and always shared screen online. So again, you pick the modality that works for you. In person, online, or asynchronous. Anything is fine. You do not have to let me know. Okay. If you're absent on the day of a quiz, then you need to let me know. But other than that, it's absolutely fine. You don't have to justify to me your presence or absence in the class. Okay. You are all in section 01. If you wish to attend section 02, that is also fine. Some days, if you're running late, you need the 1 to 2 p.m. time slot to do something else, you can come in from 2 to 3. That is also fine with me. Whether you are in person or online, doesn't matter. Yeah, you don't have to let me know. Again, except on the days when there is an assessment. Okay, when there's an assessment, your questions and submission links will be locked. So if you're if you're attending an alternative time, then you need to let me know. All right, otherwise it will remain locked for you. Is everything clear so far? Okay. All right, so that was attendance and participation. Late homework is accepted. Oh, homework for this class uses McGraw-Hill's online connect system. So here's the part that students probably won't like. All right, textbook. How many of you purchased the package from the bookstore? Anyone? Did anyone purchase it? No. It's expensive, I understand that. So part of doing this is, where did it go? Oh, right here. This is the book that we are using, Principles and Applications of Electrical Engineering. This book is specifically written for a non-EE major course, okay? Which is what CPE would be, non-EE major. And so it's from McGraw-Hill. I negotiated a low-cost option. It was $120 from the bookstore, but via Poly Access, it's $59.99. And so I use this Connect system for homework assignments and for some quizzes. Now, the first thing, obviously, is the cost, right? The first thing that students would ask is, why am I required to purchase something like this when I'm already paying thousands of dollars? And the answer to that is the CSU likes to market itself as a low-cost university system, which is not true, because for every student that attends Cal Poly or any CSU for that matter, the funding comes from the state, which is true in any state that you go. If you go to Texas or New York or Wyoming, taxpayers from that state are funding those institutions. Same thing in California. So the education is highly subsidized. So they do not want to add on more fees or extra fees on there that are required for learning. And they keep the overall tuition low and say that, okay, we are a low-cost university, everybody can attend it, we'll provide financial aid. So unfortunately, that's what the system is. So we have to, if we are to use this kind of systems, then we have to add on the purchases for every single course. I would love it if they would just charge one big chunk of money, but that brings into larger other issues. So the purchase is required of each and every student. If you have any concerns about this, please send me an email. Okay. and then we'll discuss this. We'll discuss the options. But as of now, not as of now, but my classes, I typically use the online system. And I truly, it's not that I'm just keeping my homework at 10% and I'm just passing it off onto you. That's not the case. Okay. If that's the case, I can always hire a grader and the grader would just, grade all the homework assignments. That's not truly what this is about. This is about enhancing the student's learning experience. So as we go along, I will not make sure, I have ensured that every student gets their money's worth. Okay. So there's an e-text that is available with the book. With this package. There's homework assignments that we do. There'll be about 15 to 18 homework assignments spread throughout the quarter. And there'll be certain quizzes, whether we do in person or whether we do online, that is part of the McGraw-Hill system. So the homework counts for a 35% of your overall grade. It's not 10% or 15% or 20%. It's 35% of your overall grade. Okay. It's not a small chunk. It's a big and massive chunk. So if you go here, homework is up to 35%. And that homework is basically split into two submissions. One is the online Connect system that is worth 25% of your overall grade. And the other one is uploading your work as a PDF on Canvas, which is worth 10%. The assumption being that you have Connect open in front of you and you're doing your work. The assumption would be that you're doing your work either on pencil and paper, or you might be using a writing tablet, but you do some calculation, you'd be doing some work, right? And then you would enter your answers in the online system. So all I want is a PDF of that work. Okay, all I want is a PDF of that work, and that goes into this link, the scan and upload on Canvas. Okay, so this is the Connect system. This is the scan and upload of the work that you did. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so this has a due date, but I've set it for, I've set it for grading for mastery, learning for mastery. So there's unlimited attempts for every question. The point is not to penalize students for their mistakes. The point is that the students can receive instant feedback and then learn from it, rectify their error, and then try again. You can try as many times as you like until you get 100%. Okay, so again, there is no reason why any student should have less than 35% of their grade from the homework assignments. This is not a freebie or anything. You still have to put in the work. You still have to learn the material. But as long as you keep up with the material, as long as you're learning, you will receive the full 35%. That counts towards your overall grade. Any questions about that? About the grading scheme? About the system? Okay. Then we have quizzes. Quizzes are going to be on every single Monday. Obviously, we started the quarter with a holiday, so we already down like one class, and most of today's class will be taken up by reviewing syllabus. And then I'm going to do a quick recap if I can. So quizzes are usually every Monday. Haven't decided yet whether we're going to have one this Monday or not. Maybe I might move it to like Wednesday of next week. I don't know yet. And that would be the first thing of class. So the first 15 or 20 minutes of every Monday would be devoted to a live quiz. These are the only days where I would require students to attend. Okay, whether you attend in person or whether you attend online, doesn't matter. If you're attending online, then you need to log on to Zoom and have your cameras on for proctoring purposes. And those requirements are listed right here. So every single one has a detailed page. You need to ensure that you read through everything and make sure that you're following all the rules. Okay. So if you're attending online for quizzes, you need to ensure that you are logged on to Zoom with your cameras on. Okay. Other times you can turn it off. That's fine. So again, that's the quizzes. I don't typically keep midterms in my classes. It's only a bunch of quizzes. So I really believe like when we learn material in bite-sized chunks every single week, majority of the students like that kind of format. Every once in a while, there are some students who would say that they would prefer a midterm versus a quiz every single week. But the overwhelming majority of students from my past several years, they've always preferred having a quiz every single week. Okay, so there are no midterms. We have a series of quizzes. Typically, I like to target between 7 to 9 quizzes, usually average about 8 every quarter. And 8 quizzes is approximately equal to 2 midterms. Okay, so that's what I do. So that's 35% of your overall grade. And then there would be another 5% devoted to a offline quiz that you would take on a Friday. So I think in the system, I can set it up from Friday at 8 a.m. to Saturday midnight. So the quizzes are called Friday quizzes and then Monday quizzes. Those Friday quizzes will be every alternate Friday. We won't have one this Friday. Okay, not on this Friday. And that will be on the Connect system. So the homework has multiple attempts, no time limit. It has a due date, but the quizzes are timed. Okay, the quizzes are timed and it has a specific due date. It does not have multiple attempts. Okay, so that's the key difference between a homework and the quiz. All quizzes, by the way, are open book, open notes, open internet. Okay, you can use your tablets, smartphones, laptops, whatever you want. Show me your best work. Okay, everything in this class is geared towards students showing me their best. So there is no reason why, with all these resources in hand, every student should not be doing their best. Okay, so again, every single quiz is open book, open notes, open internet. Even the final exam is open book, open notes. The only difference is final exam will not be open internet. It'll only be open book, open notes. Okay, but you can still refer to your course material online, meaning the online homeworks, online quizzes, online solutions, online notes. That is all fine. So you can use your laptops and your tablets for the final exam, but you would not be able to access any internet resource. And typically, I sit in the back of the classroom so I can proctor and monitor everyone's screens. Okay, and that is there on the final exam page. So final exam is worth 25% of your overall grade. Okay, so it's typically it will be like 35, 40%. I don't like that. I don't like putting like a big weight assignment if a student has done well enough throughout the entire quarter, but if they're nervous during the final or if they have an off day, it disproportionately affects their grade in a negative way. So I don't like doing that. So my courses are always structured with kind of an equitable or equal amount of distribution, meaning you can't really get an A without doing all of the homework. You cannot get an A without doing well on the quizzes. And you cannot obtain an A without giving the final exam. On the flip side, if you mess up the final exam, score, let's just say maybe you score only 50 or 60% of the final exam. That means you're not dropping all the way down to a C or a D. At most, you might drop from an A to a B. Okay. And even then, there are other avenues for students to make up their grades. Okay, so let's talk about the final exam first, and then I'll talk about the extra credit. So final exam, excuse me, is mandatory. It's not optional. Student could choose not to show up or not to take the final exam, which is fine. If you're happy, if you scored 100% on everything else, you would end up with like a C or maybe C plus. If you're happy with that and you do not want to take the final exam, that's up to you. That's fine. Okay, I'm not here to force anyone to take the final exam, but it's mandatory. It means it's part of your grade. It's not dropped. All final exams are in person. There is no Zoom option. Please read through everything else. And then again, I will go over this on the last day of class also. A university scheduled final exam is on a Friday from 1 to 4, right here in this room. The schedule is designed by Cal Poly. Okay, we have no control over that. We have no control over where our classrooms are. We have no control over the timings of the classes. No control over timings of the exams. If your class is between 1 and 4, your exam is also from 1 to 4. Okay. If you feel like you want to get started on your summer a little bit earlier than that, and you want to take the exam on a Wednesday, that is an option available to all students. So you can take the exam on a Wednesday. If you want to get started on a Monday, you can still do so. I have 113 right here in this room. That their exam is on the Monday of finals week, again, between 1 and 4. So you can do that too. That is also an option available to everyone. If you want to get started even earlier than that, I have a final scheduled on the Saturday before finals week between 1 to 4. You can pick and choose which day you would like to attend from any one of those 4 options. Okay. Some students, typically between 5 and 10 students, 5 is the lowest, 10 being the highest, averaging about 7 students per class per quarter, do decide to take the exam on a Saturday. That frees up 7 seats in the classroom on the day of the final. So for example, if 5 students to my 113 class decide to take the exam on a Saturday, that opens up 5 seats or 5 spots on the Monday, right? And I believe we have 3 or 4 seats, according to the fire marshal's fire code, we should have about 38 or 40 chairs in here. So I see a few chairs that are empty, maybe even more than that, I don't know. So anyway, physical availability on a Saturday is not a problem. Physical availability during the other alternative times, which is like Monday and Wednesday, I will take on a first come, first serve basis. Typically, I've never had any issues accommodating everyone. Okay, so if you do decide to take it on an alternate day or time, a day and time, there is a small survey that you need to submit. Okay, the earlier you submit, the better your chances of obtaining your preferred time slot. And again, as I said, in the past quarters, past several years that I've been doing this, nobody has any issues, registering for their preferred time slot. Do not fill this out. Do not submit this form if you're going to take it at your regularly scheduled time. I want to emphasize this. Your regularly scheduled time is on a Friday. If you're planning to take the exam on a Friday, do not submit this form. Okay. You can submit this form from now until the end of the last day of class. Okay. Even during finals week, that's fine. Okay. So obviously you would not know your plans from now. You can take a few days to decide and then submit this form. It does not, again, the only thing it asks for is your name so that I know who's requesting the time slot. Okay. So again, 4 options for the final exam. Taking it earlier or later is not going to give you any competitive advantage or disadvantage. The problems and the questions would be different, but they'd be highly similar. Okay, same level of complexity, everything pretty much the same. All right, let's go to extra credit. So there are extra credit reading assignments that I will assign every so often, either before class or after class to reinforce your learning. Okay. We'll also be able to do some of the reading for our lab classes. Okay. That will prepare you for your lab classes in a slightly better way. So that counts for overall 2% extra credit applied directly to your overall grade. Okay. There's unlimited attempts. There's no due date. Obviously, if you're learning about diodes in the next week, and there's an extra credit reading assignment about diode, you should do it then, right? Because that's going to enhance your learning. But if you miss doing it and you still wish to take the extra credit, you can do it in week 8, week 9. That's also fine. Okay. So again, that is available to every single student. You do not need to ask me for an extension. It's always available. So once you get through the reading assignment, the system automatically generates some questions to assess your learning. And again, there's no penalty, no deduction for those questions and answers. It's basically just to reinforce the student learning. And again, all of that is going to be extra credit. So you finish all of those assignments, applies 2% to your overall grade. If you end up with an 88% at the end of the quarter and you did those, it's going to push you up to 90. Okay, no restrictions. It's going to count over and above what you already earned. If somebody ends up with 100%, they'll get 102. I mean, we can't give A plus plus, but that's what it would be. Okay. All right. So at the end of the quarter, you submit evaluations, right? These evaluations are very important to us, okay, all faculty, basically. You may or may not know this, but these are looked upon very seriously by everyone. Okay, these go into our official employee records. They are part of our official employee files. Okay, everyone is evaluated. This is a scenario that you will also face when you are a working engineer. Okay, once you are in the first year of your job, you'd be what is known as on probation or something like that. And then they'll evaluate you like a month or 6 months after you join. This is evaluations that are done every single quarter, where students evaluate the faculty on what their learning experience was. Okay, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. These are completely anonymous. We do not receive these evaluations until the beginning of the next quarter. Okay, so we did not receive our evaluations from winter until I think the first week of spring, like this Monday or Tuesday or something. Okay, so completely anonymous. The only thing we see at our end is the number of responses. If there are 36 students in a class, all we see is 18 of 36 students submitted their evaluations. So it's a little bit of extra work. What I like to do is I like to offer a little bit of extra credit to students in proportion to the participation rate. So for example, at the end of the quarter, if 18 of 36 students have submitted an evaluation, that's a 50% response rate. Every student in the class receives 0.5 points of extra credit awarded directly to their overall grade. If you are at an 89.5, you get bumped up to 90. Okay. If it's 36 out of 36, that's 100% response rate. Every student in the class receives 1% or 1 point of extra credit. Okay. Again, these are anonymous, so we don't know who has submitted and not. That means we have no idea who is submitting, right? Even the comments and the ratings we get, completely anonymous. So every student in the class benefits from this, whether they submit an evaluation or not. So again, if you participate, you get it. Now, having said that, these are the end of the quarter, right? So it doesn't help you. It helps the students who are going to come after you. So the past several years, what I've been doing is I have weekly anonymous evaluations. These, I call them unofficial evaluations because these are not submitted to Cal Poly. These are just simple Google Forms. They are based on exactly the same questions that you see. And so let's see. Come on, open up. Yes, it's not going to open up. Now, there you go. All right, so all you're going to choose here is you're going to choose the class that you're enrolled in and the questions and the week, of course. This is week 1. The questions are exactly the same. The rating scale is also exactly the same as your end of quarter evaluations. So there is one evaluation for every single week. The first one so it's usually Saturday midnight. Okay, Saturday midnight. And this is there for both lectures and there's a separate one for the lab. Okay, so this is week 1 and then optional, if you wish, you submit this week 1 through 9. And then week 10, obviously, is the official evaluations. Exactly the same questions as the official evaluations. No difference. And for this, since this is 9 weeks, I offer up to 2 points of extra credit. So total of 5 points of extra credit are available to every student. 2 points or 2% for the reading, 1% for the official evaluations, and 2% for the unofficial ones. This is a simple Google form. It's anonymous. No personal information is collected. You could send this to your buddy in Florida and they'd be able to fill it out. Okay. But please don't. So again, this is to your benefit. This is the space to let me know. This is like an ombudsman. This is a middleman. This is a middle person. You tell this middle person what is working for you and what is not working for you. Then this tells me, I read those, I review those, and it tells me if I need to make a correction in real time. Okay. So this is to your benefit. You let me know if something's not working for you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So again, as I said, this is there for the lab also. The lab is separate. Okay. Lab is separate, but the same rules apply. You have 2% of extra credit for the unofficial evaluations. All right. So let's open up the notebook. Let's do a 10-minute recap. Where is the open? 15 lecture. It's not synced. So content library is right here. It's teacher only section. Oh, there you go. Okay, so if you have logged on to the class notebook, meaning you've signed up, these notes are automatically available to you. All right, so you learned about circuits in 115 and 215, right? So this is a quick 10-minute recap, or 151, so 9-minute recap. All right, let's do this. So we learned about AC and DC voltages and currents, right? DC stands for direct current, AC stands for alternating current. It's kind of weird when we say AC and DC current, because the C in DC and AC stands for current, right? But we typically just refer to it AC and DC. So DC simply means it has, if you plot the value of that waveform as a function of time, it is completely flat, it is completely constant, right? Constant. And AC simply means that it's varying with respect to time. Okay, this is time t equal to 0. Time t equal to 0 does not mean the beginning of time. It simply means the point in time at which you began analysis. That's all it means. Okay, time t equal to 0 simply means the point in time at which we begin our analysis. And so going towards the right is the future, going towards the left is the past. Okay, AC is referred to as alternating because first generation was sine wave generation, which alternated between a positive, it alternated between the north and the south pole of the magnet. And so it generated a positive and a negative peak. Okay, but any kind of waveforms that do not have a fixed value with respect to time is referred to as AC. Okay. Now, when AC and DC technologies were being worked upon, which is the late 1800s, there was a huge war. Well, not huge in the physical sense, but there was this big technological war that was between Nikola Tesla, and Thomas Edison. Okay, Nikola Tesla came over from, the story goes, Nikola Tesla came over from Europe to work for Edison. Edison had a bounty on a unsolvable problem, and Tesla was the one. He was basically a mathematical genius. He could like do complicated sums and visualizations in his head, and so he was able to solve that problem. When he asked for his prize, Edison, well, so the story goes that Edison laughed in his face and said, "No, you're my employee. You're supposed to just do this. This is part of your job." Okay, And then shortly thereafter, they had a falling out, and then Tesla left his employment. And then from that point on, Edison did everything in his power to denigrate Tesla and his work. And one of the things that it culminated with was DC and AC technology. This is the late 1800s when electricity, artificial electricity, man-made electricity was still being, being worked upon. They're trying to work on this technology. It was very dangerous because obviously people got electrocuted while working on these. And so there was this huge series of events that came to be known as the War of Current. Okay, War of Current. There was a movie also based upon this series of events that came out a few years ago. Excellent movie. Some of you may have watched it. If you haven't, when you get some time, definitely check it out. Okay, that's AC and DC. And then typical electric circuit or schematic looks like this. Electric circuit is a schematic drawing. It's a mathematical model or a mathematical calculation to represent an actual physical system, right? So that's an electrical circuit that you have studied so far. You have resistances, resistors, capacitors, and inductors, R, L, and C, RLC circuits. And you have the voltage sources there. And circuit analysis is simply the calculation or determination of the unknown voltages and currents that are present in the circuit. Okay. Determining or determination of unknown voltages and currents. That is circuit analysis. So these techniques, while we are not going to solve any problems in isolation, you still need these techniques for our class in semiconductor devices. I don't have a particularly enlightening talk about this, but I just like it. It's good meme. I just bring it up because what we have learned so far is conductor, resistor, inductor, and capacitor. Don't have one for a diode. Maybe you did a little bit of transformers, but those are basically linked inductances. And this transistor is what we learned in 315. Okay. Okay, sources and loads. If it is a circle with a plus and a minus inside it, or an arrow in it, that means it's a source. It is supplying energy. A plus and a minus sign indicates voltage, and an arrow indicates current. So this is a voltage source. That's a current source. In physical, in real life, they're the exact same thing. Voltage cannot be present without current. Current cannot be present without voltage. So they're the exact same thing. It's the mode of operation. If you operate the device in a constant voltage mode, it is a voltage source. If you operate that same device with a constant current source, if the constant current output, then it's a current source. That's it. There's no other difference. A diamond means it is a dependent source. Okay, so these are dependent sources. It means they depend on some other part of the circuit to provide their rated value. And this is a model that we will use in op amps and in transistors, BJTs. Okay. So again, dependent sources, again, this is a theoretical model. It supplies its rated voltage or current, but it depends on some quantity in some other part of the circuit to supply its rated quantity value. So that's dependent, and these are circles means independent. All right, 2 minutes left. When we begin circuit analysis, we apply and assign values randomly or arbitrarily. We don't know the direction of the currents. We don't know the polarity of the voltages. So we make assumptions. We make certain assumptions, but those assumptions are based on logic and rules, logic and rules. Okay. Current direction, we use the two subscript notation for currents and voltages. If we say IAB, it means current is flowing from A to B. If we say IBA, it means current is flowing from B to A. Okay, from B to A. Mathematically, IAB is equal to minus IBA. or IBA is equal to minus IAB. It doesn't matter what your value is, as long as it matches up with the current direction that you have chosen, our answer is correct. And then we have voltage polarities. Voltages are always measured between 2 points. Voltage is nothing but the difference in electric potential between any 2 points in a circuit. So if you have 2 points that are exactly the same level, the difference between the 2 points is 0, right? If this is 0, if this is ground, and this is 5 volts above ground, and this point is also 5 volts above ground, the difference between these 2 points is exactly the same in terms of voltages. So if this is at 5 volts and this is at 5 volts, the difference between these two, the voltage between these 2 points is 0. So again, voltage is nothing but the difference in potential. So voltages have polarities. The second point is the reference point for that voltage. Meaning if you were to take a multimeter, you would take the negative lead of the meter and put it towards the second point or second subscript. And the positive end would go to the first subscript. It's 2 o'clock, so if you need to leave, you can leave. I'm going to continue recording until we end this. So VAB means B is my reference point. The negative lead of my meter is going to go to B, and positive is going to go to A. VBA is the opposite of VAB. VBA means A is negative and B is positive terminal. Doesn't mean anything else. Okay, it's not the actual. The magnitude will be the same. You might see a minus sign for either one. All it indicates is which point is higher than the other. That's all. And then Ohm's law obviously is the thing that relates voltage, current, and resistance. V equals IR. All of circuit analysis is based on Ohm's law. Okay, V equals IR, KVL, and KCL. These are the three laws that we need. We don't need anything else for circuit analysis. Okay. And then we have energy and power. When voltage is applied and current flows through a circuit or a component, energy is transferred. Rate of transfer of energy gives us the power. Electrical power is nothing but the product of voltage and current. So very important equation. P equals VI. If we have a negative reference and positive voltage at the other end, if the current direction is such that it's entering the negative terminal of the voltage, it means it is supplying energy. It is a source. That's why for all voltage sources, current always goes from minus to plus. If you have a voltage source with a plus or minus sign this way, the current for a source will always go in this direction. Always. For resistors, capacitors, inductors, it'll be the exact opposite. They are the ones that are receiving the energy. Energy is being absorbed. And so if the arrow is entering the positive terminal, which is true for resistors, capacitors, and inductors, then the energy is, or the power is positive. Since the source is supplying power, supplying energy, the power associated mathematically is referenced with a negative sign. And then unit prefixes. I'll talk about this last slide at the beginning of next class. Okay. And that's the end for this recap. All right. So we'll end class here today, and I will see you all on Friday. Let me stop recording.